Hello, distinguished speakers, esteemed colleague, and pioneer of Africa's energy future. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever you may be joining us from. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to AFNBP Light 2026, a focused and timely dialogue on nuclear energy developments in Africa. They say that to light a continent, you must first ignite a conversation. Today, we gather not just to discuss technology, but to architect the backbone of Africa's industrialization. We find ourselves at a historical crossroad where the green and the growth of our continent are no longer in competition, but are fueling by the same source, the atom. This AFNBP Light session serves as our intellectual appetizer, a high-level precursor to the fifth Africa Nuclear Business Platform taking place this April 22nd, 23rd in Abuja, Nigeria. But make no mistake, while the session is light, the stakes are anything but. We are honored to be joined by an exceptional group of speakers who represent the breadth and the depth of Africa's nuclear ecosystem. From the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, we are pleased to be joined later on in few minutes by Mr. Michael Edward, head of the Africa section, who will be giving a presentation later on the overview of nuclear developments in Africa. Also, we are equally honored to hear from national institutions at the forefront of nuclear development. I'm glad to welcome Mr. Awal Bisala, Head of International Cooperation and Liaison at the Nigeria Atomic Energy Commission, replacing the chairman, Dr. 𝐀𝐟𝐫𝐢𝐜𝐚 Yamoa, Executive Director of Nuclear Power Ghana, Mr. Sabiti Baguma, Acting Assistant Commissioner for Nuclear Energy at Uganda's Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, and Mr. Amadou Traoré, Head of Department of the Agence burkinabé de l'énergie atomique, replacing the President. Together, these institutions represent different stages of readiness, different national contexts, and a shared determination to build nuclear programs that are safe, credible, and aligned with Africa development priorities. Over the next hour and a half, we will peel back the layers of Africa's nuclear development and, more importantly, peer into the crystal ball of the next 24 months. What are the focus areas? Where will the first shovel hit the ground? And how do we ensure that splitting the atom leads to uniting the continent? With that in mind, it is my honor to officially open AFNBP Light 2026, and I look forward to a rich and insightful discussion. Distinguished guests, colleagues, and fellow visionaries of Africa's future, it is a pleasure to speak today about Africa nuclear industry outlook, not as a distant ambition, but as a living, advancing reality across the continent. For decades, nuclear energy in Africa was discussed primarily in the future tense. Today, that narrative has changed. We are witnessing a clear and measurable transition from policy intent to institutional readiness, from feasibility studies to procurement structures, and from isolated national efforts to continental wide industrial ecosystems. The central message I wish to convey today is simple but powerful. Nuclear energy has a bright future in Africa, and African nations are working relentlessly to make it happen. Next slide, please. Africa's development challenge is at its core an energy challenge. Nearly 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity, while those connected face unreliable supply and rising costs. At the same time, electricity demand across the continent is projected to more than double by 2040, driven by industrialization, urbanization, digitalization, and population growth. No energy transition strategy, whether focused on climate, economic competitiveness, or energy security, can succeed without addressing baseload power. Renewable alone cannot sustain steel plants, data centers, fertilizer production, desalination, rail electrification, or advanced manufacturing. This is where nuclear energy enters not as a competitor, but as a system enabler. Nuclear provides 24/7 carbon-free baseload electricity, grid stability at scale, long-term price predictability, high skill job creation, technology transfer, and industrial depth. We need the atom. Today, nuclear energy is no longer a fringe option. It has moved to the very center of strategic energy planning across our nations. We are witnessing the Africa Dawn, a tangible journey toward energy sovereignty and industrial prosperity. And crucially for Africa, nuclear is not just an energy technology, it is a nation building platform. Next slide. What distinguishes the current moment from previous decades is execution discipline. As highlighted in the Africa Nuclear Industry Report 2025, more than 15 African countries now have structured nuclear power programs at various stages, ranging from national policy adoption to site selection, vendor engagement, and regulatory development. This is not symbolic progress, it is institutional. Across the continent, we see independent nuclear regulatory authorities being established or strengthened, a national nuclear energy implementing organization professionalized, human capacity development programs climate strategy, and long-term economic planning. Let me show you how Africa is moving with purpose, structure, and speed through the lens of nuclear business platforms, a tier framework. We see, as you can see in the slide over here, need to come online in 2028. Over 1,700 Egyptians specialists are being trained by Rosatom. Local industrial participation is set to rise from 20% to 35%. So as I said, for Ghana, it is now home to Africa's first SMR control room simulator, launched in January 2025 with US support. Our guest, Dr. Yamowa, might provide more details about Ghana's achievement during the panel discussion. Moving on to Kenya. In Kenya, the past year was quite eventful, as in July 2025, a key milestone was set by the issuance of a request for information, RFI, to nuclear technology vendors, a critical step in identifying a sustainable partner for the project. The Nuclear Power and Energy Agency, NUPEA, which is the nephew, has also identified 8 potential sites with Saya County for the plant, including Ugambe, Sirongo, and Dagamoyo, all located along the Lake Victoria shoreline. Also in September 2025, an MOU to collaborate on nuclear power development was signed between NUPEA and the Korea Atomic Energy Research Institute, 𝐀𝐟𝐫, focusing on technical cooperation in nuclear energy research and development. They hosted also Africa's first IAEA SMR school in 2025. Their goal, 1,000 megawatt by 2034, with construction expected to start by 2027. Furthermore, a few weeks ago, the state utility Kenya Electricity Generation Company, 𝐁𝐮, was selected as the owner-operator of the country's first planned nuclear power plant. Kenya's designation of 𝐁𝐮 as owner-operator, therefore, represents more than an administrative decision. It's a signal. It signals a transition into a phase of preparedness, one in which institutional maturity becomes just as important as technical ambitions. Moving on to Rwanda. Rwanda is pioneering a proof of concept approach as they have shown early interest in hosting demonstration projects for next generation SMRs, working with developers from Canada and the United States. They have partnered with Canadian German firm called the Dual Fluid for a demonstration reactor and with Nano Nuclear Energy as well as discussion with Rosatom. Their strategy is agile, innovative, and forward-looking. For Uganda, Uganda has integrated nuclear power into its long-term energy planning, linking it directly to industrialization objectives. In Uganda, a 26-month site evaluation study for the Buyandi plant is now underway with Korea's KHMP aiming for a first unit by 2031. The government has acquired 30 square kilometers of land and is implementing a resettlement action plan with local communities. Mr. Baguma can share more insight during the panel. Regarding Nigeria, Nigeria continued to develop one of the continent's most comprehensive nuclear frameworks, supported by long-standing institutional experience. Our guest, Mr. Bisala, will certainly provide more information about it during the panel. And this is just tier one. And for time's sake, I will not discuss tier two and tier three countries here. So one of the most encouraging developments captured in the report in the growing emphasis on local industrial participation. African countries are not approaching nuclear power as turnkey imports. Instead, they are actively building local supplier qualification programs, nuclear grade manufacturing readiness, construction and civil work capacities, quality assurance and safety culture frameworks. According to the report, local content participation in new nuclear projects in Africa could reach 30 to 40% during initial bids, increasing substantially over subsequent units as experience and certification grows. This represents thousands of skilled jobs, long-term industrial upgrading, export-ready competencies for African firms. Nuclear energy, in this sense, become a catalyst for industrial transformation, not mainly an electricity source. No nuclear program succeed without people. Next slide, please. Africa has remarkable progress in human capital development, with hundreds of engineers, regulators, operators, and policymakers trained through IAEA technical cooperation programs, bilateral partnerships, university industrial collaboration, regional centers of excellence. The Africa Nuclear Industry Report 2025 documents a steady increase in nuclear engineering, radiation science, and safety programs across African universities alongside structured workforce planning aligned with reactor deployment timeline. This long-term investment ensure continuity, safety, and the sovereignty over nuclear infrastructures. Next slide, please. Let us be clear, with all great development mentioned already, challenges remain. Nuclear projects require strong governance, long-term political commitment, robust regulatory independence, public engagement and trust, significant upfront capital. But none of these challenges are unique to Africa. Every nuclear nation, without exception, has faced them. What the Africa Nuclear Industry Reports makes clear in that African countries are not ignoring these hurdles. They are addressing them systematically with international best practices, peer learning, and regional cooperation. The trajectory is one of risk reduction, not risk accumulation. So, why is the outlook for nuclear in Africa so compelling? Because energy demand is real and irreversible. Climate commitments require firm, low carbon power. Industrialization needs reliable baseload. Institutions are maturing. Skills are being built. Markets are forming. And because Africa is not starting from zero, it's building on decades of scientific, regulatory, operational experience. So next slide, please, for the conclusion. Next slide, please. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Ibrahim, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So, in conclusion, the story of nuclear energy in Africa is no longer about potential alone. It is about progress with purpose. It's about countries taking ownership of their energy future. It's about institutions earning credibility. It's about industries preparing to deliver. It's about a continent determined to power its growth sustainably and securely. The future of nuclear energy in Africa is not speculative. It is under construction. Next slide, please. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me. And this slide is just to, as I mentioned earlier, this webinar is a preparation, we can say, to the main conference which will be taking place in Abuja, Nigeria in April. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me. And we'll move right away to our next presentation. I would like to call Mr. Michael Edward to share his screen and start his presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Edward, and I'm a section head here in the Division for Africa at IAEA. I was requested in view of this meeting to prepare a presentation on the overview of nuclear development in Africa. So in preparing this presentation, as you will see, I will be focusing on one hand on the work that we do, the assistance we are providing to embarking countries in Africa for the development of their nuclear power infrastructure. But we're also going to be talking about the deployment of small modular reactors and possibility for countries that are interested to take full advantage of this technology for energy production in Africa. So as you all know, the mandate of the agency has a dual mandate, basically focusing on the peaceful uses of nuclear technology for social and economic development, promotion of the peaceful technology. In Africa, our assistance is actually targeting 50 member states. So there are 50 countries in Africa that are IAEA member states, of which 27 of them are these developed countries. And you know, these developed countries are characterized by very low human capital and limited infrastructure also to use this technology. Briefly about the non-power application, because we'll be talking more on the power applications.
Sorry to interrupt, Michael. Can you go full screen, please?
Oh, I thought I did that.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No, sorry about that. So let me just get here. So for non-power application, you have food and agriculture, human health, science, technology, and also water resources and environment, to which I will add safety and security. I will not want to expand on this because this is not the subject of our discussion. We can have this conversation another day. but we are definitely assisting African countries in all these thematic areas. Now, with regard to power, which is our area of interest for today's discussion or today's meeting, we have two key areas that we're looking at when working with member states. One is energy planning. Number two is developing infrastructure development with regard to nuclear power, and other supporting services that we provide to help countries that are embarking in nuclear power programs. You have the legal side, you have also safety and security, and to some extent, safeguards is involved as well. One key document that most of you who are involved in this work with the agency, you're familiar with the milestone approach document. It's a publication of the agency which actually defines the 19 issues. The 19 issues are not prescriptive, but we highly recommend member states to make use of these issues as they develop the nuclear power infrastructure. With regard to energy planning, we have different tools that member states are using. You can see them on screen here. I don't want to take them one by one, but we do work with member states to make sure that their capacity are built and enhanced in the use of these tools for the planning of the introduction of nuclear power into their energy mix. With regard to nuclear power, we talked about the milestone approach. It's well defined here. It's not new to all of you. And countries are categorized in three phases. You have phase one for countries that are considering a decision, that have not yet made a decision. You have phase two of countries that are actually contracting and constructing the nuclear power plant after a policy decision is made. And you have phase three. These are countries that are already implementing activities for their first nuclear power program. So the embarking countries in Africa are all at different stages of development following this milestone approach. Yeah. I wanted to give you here an overview of the number of INI mission, which is the integrated infrastructure review missions that we conduct in African countries. You can see that in the four regions that we support, that we deploy our technologies, countries are really seeking assistance from the agency in order to benefit from this advisory mission. And several African countries, as you can see on the screen here, that are in different phases, with South Africa being in phase two, Nigeria phase two, and many others. They have also requested this review mission from the agency. This list will be updated soon to include to the year 2025 and 2026. On the INI mission, most of you who are online, you know very well that this mission is requested by the member state. This is a service that the agency provides with a number of competent colleagues who visit your country upon request. And they assess your infrastructure, provide you with key recommendations that can help you to actually continue to develop your nuclear power program. Here you can see also that we are not working only with Africa. There are currently 31 countries that are operating nuclear power programs, with 9.2% of the world electricity which is generated by nuclear energy. And more countries now are coming. We currently have 9 countries in Africa who are really engaged, working with us seriously, but a little bit more, a little bit more. You can see here, we have a list of 20 countries. 20 countries, but seriously speaking, the list of countries that are benefiting from assistance that we can be proud to say today we are measuring progress with them and see that they are serious about the development of the nuclear infrastructure. It should be between 9 and 10 countries. The first block of countries that you see on the left of the screen, on the left side of the screen, yeah. But we have others that are either in phase 0 or phase 1. We are talking to them as well. We are supporting them through our technical cooperation program. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the small modular reactors, because this is the future. This is the future, and I think many African countries are also considering this type of technology as a way of addressing their energy deficit, so that they can continue to supply population with generate electricity using this technology. So here we have the SMRs, which are reactors that have the capacity to produce up to 300 megawatt. And I think we have talked a lot about this in different meetings, and people are now expressing interest in this. We hope that very soon some few African countries will be able to make a decision to go into this technology, which is now getting more and more available. I think different countries, supplier countries, are ready to discuss with countries that are interested to deploy this technology. So for you that are not familiar with this, I think this is just an explanation of what an SMR stands for. It's a small stand for physically a fraction of the size of a conventional nuclear power, so small size. I must say, some few years ago, we visited China, and few countries that we traveled with, they were able to see in real life how a small modular reactor would look like. Yeah. So this technology is now getting more and more available for people who would like to visit, see, and be informed about the cost and how this can be utilized for electricity generation. I want to conclude my presentation here by saying that the decision to go for nuclear power is a national decision. It's the responsibility of the member states. The member state has to make that decision and inform the IAEA, and we stand ready to support. But in order to maintain the existing role of the nuclear power program in your energy mix, there's a need for member state also to engage with a broad range of stakeholders at the national level, whether these are policymakers, the industry, of course, but also the financing community, people who can help to support the funding of this program, and engage also with international organizations like the IAEA and many others who can support you in the use of this technology. So in conclusion, the IAEA stand ready to assist member state. We are already working with you. We will continue to support your efforts as you lead the process for the development of your nuclear power infrastructure. The agency has a long-term experience with many other countries that are making use of this technology. So we believe strongly that Africa can trust the agency as they continue to collaborate with the agency to benefit from the technical expertise and the experience that we have had over time in helping you to actually deploy or develop your nuclear power infrastructure. Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for giving me the opportunity. I think that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mikel, for this great presentation. Due to time constraints, we will not be taking questions, and we will move ahead right away to the panel discussion. So once again, thank you very much, Mikel, for joining us and for this presentation. So moving on to the panel, I would like to call all the panelists to put their camera on, please. Thank you very much. So my first question would be to everyone to introduce themselves and give a brief overview. So let's start with Dr. Stephen Yamoa. Stephen, please, can you share your introduce yourself first?
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And good afternoon to all the participants and to the colleague panelists. So I'm Stephen Yamoa, the Executive Director of Nuclear Power Ghana. And Nuclear Power Ghana is the owner-operator organization and by undertaking the nuclear project with support from other institutions such as Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. We have, as from Mikel's presentation, you notice that Ghana is in phase 2. And I should say that we are in the mid to the end of phase 2. We needed to wrap up major activities to be able to conclude phase 2 so that we can transition to phase 3. So we have all the key institutions and regulatory bodies established. We're doing quite a lot of engagement with the vendors. We've identified some technologies and project delivery model approach that we have in direct engagement and discussion to see how it can, transition and become a feasible project, that will be manageable by Ghana and of course also with the vendor country. We have also been doing quite, engage activity in terms of the, stakeholders, the public, government, media institutions, the community where we have the sites, making sure that we maintain and sustain the public interest and the support, from both perspective, which for us is very key, because without the public, without the support, no amount of investment will make it feasible project. So that is something that we prioritize in our activity. But of course, we are at a stage where we need to move to the site, and to do real site investigation to be able to, characterize the site and then make sure that it can meet all the regulatory requirements. So I think in a nutshell, this is what I would say. Probably subsequent questions I can highlight more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Moving on to Mr. Bisala. Awal, can you please?
Okay, thank you very much, Ibrahim, for inviting Nigeria to be part of this very important engagement, which to me it's an opportunity for advocacy and sensitization within the continent so that people understand where we are and where we are heading to, particularly as a global partner to several other institutions. My name is Awal Bisala, as you rightly mentioned, and I work with the Atomic Energy Commission here in Nigeria. It was actually the acting chair of the commission that was meant to be on this panel, but because currently is attending the meeting of NS, not likely going to be possible for him to join from there because of the equally committed nature of the meeting in Vienna. And that's why he asked that I should represent him and share our thoughts as a commission. I equally serve as the IAEA National Liaison Assistant for Nigeria at the Atomic Energy Commission, where I'm also a deputy director heading the International Cooperations Department. Well, Nigeria as a country is using the IAEA milestone approach in the deployment of our national nuclear power program, covering the 19 infrastructure issues. And I should say that we have already carried out the first INEA mission, the Integrated Nuclear Infrastructure Review Mission in 2015 in the country to actually assess the readiness of Nigeria to deploy nuclear power plant for electricity generation, which is considered very critical because of the population of the country standing at about 250 million persons with inadequacy of electricity supply. The consideration for nuclear has become not only important, but very necessary if we are to industrialize and meet the electricity needs of our people. So we have done some significant work in the area of deploying nuclear power plant in the country. We have identified a number of partners and equally identified 2 potential sites where we plan to deploy the first nuclear power plant there. One is at 𝐀𝐟𝐫𝐢𝐜𝐚 in Kogi State, while the second one is at 𝐸2. Currently, we are doing some preliminary feasibility study activities. We've already done extensive site characterization to enable us take an in-depth consideration of these 2 sites. And then again, we are partnering with global institutions and key vendor countries in our quest to utilize nuclear for electricity generation. We are working closely with the Russian Federation through Rosatom. We've actually signed a number of MOUs and a project development agreement. We have equally signed an MOU with China National Nuclear Corporation. And also recently, I think about a year ago, less than a year ago, we signed with the 𝐀HMP, Korean Hydro and Nuclear Power Company. And then, of course, we, just like Mikel mentioned in his presentation, when we started, the main focus was on the conventional large reactors, but with the evolution in the area of small modular reactors, Nigeria is also looking that way. And then, of course, with the current policy of government towards decentralization of the national grid, we are equally considering and looking the way of small modular reactors as a low-hanging fruit, which we're sure will help in speeding our progress towards having electricity from nuclear. So in a nutshell, that's where we are and what we are doing. And I'm sure in the course of our engagement, questions will be asked, and then we'll provide answers as these questions are asked. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Awal. Moving on to Mr. Traore. Amadou, can you please?
Okay, thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mr. Amadou Traore, head of Department of Nuclear Application at Burkina Faso Nuclear Atomic Agency, representing the Director General. So what I can say is Burkina Faso is a newcomer country, and we have just launched and operationalized our nuclear atomic agency last December. But we are benefiting from a strong political commitment to go to our nuclear infrastructure development. So the current status of our agency, which is IAEA, is that IAEA is an institutional startup, and we are currently building the foundation. So our roadmap is seeking to be pragmatic and step-by-step, following the IAEA milestone approach as presented by Michael. So currently we have no no finalized roadmap, and we are in the strategic design phase for our roadmap. But we have some priority being human capacity development, and we are seeking to establish also a robust legal and regulatory framework, public awareness and information to ensure social acceptance also. So we are on the stage of calling for partnership and our need, and we have some need regarding partnerships, opportunity, and we are seeking for framework agreement with experienced agencies like IAEA, and we did some with Rosatom already. And we are looking for training support for technical assistance, investment also. And currently, to conclude, what I can say is that Burkina Faso is embodies the new wave of African nuclear ambition, proactive, pragmatic, and we are building on energy future for our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amadou, and congratulations on the establishment of ABEA. And that's a huge step forward for Burkina Faso. Moving on to Stephen, my question is about the coming 1-2 years. So, what are your focus areas for nuclear power development in the next 1 or 2 years, and why you picked those areas?
Thank you very much. I will extend it to a little over 2 years. I would say 3 years. And our target is to have concluded all the major technical studies and be ready to engage with the regulatory authority for various forms of licensing. And here, the major ones I'm referring to is the issue of the site characterization, which we needed to conclude on it. We've been doing bits and pieces of feasibility study. Almost all the activities we embarking on will eventually culminate into a feasibility study report. We've had very good engagement with identified vendors. We signed 2 framework agreements in 2024, and discussions are ongoing. So, and then of course, the other issue is about the transmission system. Okay, we did the phase 1 study, where we call it a preliminary transmission integration study. We have to do another one that will then provide us with a clear picture in terms of the level and nature of transmission upgrades that we have to do in order to ensure that the power can be evacuated from the nuclear. So the major target within the next, and I'm calling it 3 years, to coincide with the theme of the current government. The target is to ensure that we can be ready, to be able to move to site to start, a preliminary site infrastructure development. Hoping that we should have, by that time, be able to have advanced, if not completed, advanced the discussions with the vendors, identify the financing mechanism, the project delivery structure and model, concluded on that. Potentially, the approach we're using, the bits and pieces of discussions that we are having with the vendors will then, once we are successful in each of these areas that we are discussing, will then culminate in leading to a contract. Okay, so at this stage, I wouldn't say we are discussing contract in terms of the traditional context of contract, but we have identified, based on the framework agreement, identified key areas that the 2 parties have to discuss and agree to. That is what we're doing. So once these discussions are successfully concluded, then we can have some basic master document that will make reference to all these pieces of discussions, and then that will then usher us into the next phase, which is the construction. So our target 2 to 3 years is to be able to complete the site issues, to be able to complete the feasibility study, to be able to, conclude on the discussions that we're having with the vendors, to have a financing arrangement, a financing model, project delivery structure, and all of that, so that we should be able to then package all this information and reports, and have some dialogue with the regulatory body. It is our expectation that within this time frame, the regulatory body will also be, coming up and, finalizing their regulations, so that there will be, effective regulatory benchmarks to be able to review our submittals and then give us the necessary approvals. So that is our target, more or less, to be able to get to construction readiness within this time frame. And of course, we should be also, through this same process, be able to invite the agency for some high-level missions. We're targeting to have INEA Phase 2 mission, potentially maybe 2027, and other missions that we may request from the agency. So this is, the bigger goal, the bigger picture, to be able to conclude on Phase 2 activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stephen. And regarding your timeline, is still the same, early 2030s, or have it shifted?
Yeah. Our original timeline was 2030. That is not feasible. So we're looking at early 2030s to mid 2030s. But then I would say for now, this is a preliminary timeline. And I'm calling it preliminary because the major issue that is going to accelerate or not accelerate our progress is how we are able to resolve the issue of financing. And that is why we're having this rigorous direct engagement with the potential vendors that we have identified. So once we get to a more convenient stage of discussion, then together we'll have a look at the schedule again. But we believe that within the early 2030s to mid 2030s, we should be able to have, inshallah, our first unit on the grid.
Noted with thanks. And also, just for everyone's knowledge, you are open to both technologies, to large reactors and SMRs, and you are talking with both of them, with the SMR companies and large reactors.
Yes, correct. At this stage, we haven't, decided on large or SMR, meaning that we are open to both. Both technologies has its main peculiar challenges with respect to Ghana. The large reactor, the major challenge is, the size relative to the transmission capacity. I was at a meeting with some senior level management of our transmission company, and one of them made a comment that, if you look at the whole of West Africa, the single largest unit within the WAP is about 200 megawatts, which is a plant in Nigeria. So you just have about just one single largest unit now, about 200, and you have 1,000, 1,002. So that presents a huge technical challenge, So that is the issues with the large reactor. And then, of course, the SMR, the major issue. And let me say, when we talk about SMR in Ghana's context, there are a lot of the designs that we are not interested in. Okay, so we're looking at designs, we're looking at great scale designs, and then those that has the modular concept that you can modularize, and aggregate to have more or less a larger unit. So we are not keen on those micro reactors and majority of the SMR design concepts. We have selected few there are others that we are also observing and see how it is being progressed. So yes, we're looking at both technologies. Discussions we are having, one is with SMR, the other is with large reactor. And then we see how both discussions will work out.
Thank you very much. And you mentioned something very important, that's the capacity of the grid. Are you thinking about a regional grid? For example, you have some neighboring countries here in this. So the question is open to you and to Nigeria, Burkina Faso. Are you open to a West African shared power plant? Is that a possibility?
Of course, that would be a laudable concept to look at. But of course, this has to be driven from the top. Otherwise, for us, without the, let's say, the ECOWAS, and again, it cannot be all the ECOWAS member countries. Okay, it could be two, three of the ECOWAS member countries that will have this kind of initiative, but it has to be something driven from the top political echelon of ECOWAS. And then the technical team can then work out the technicalities, the challenges, and then it's something that is feasible. I know some years ago there was a talk about regional cooperation nuclear power projects. There was even a committee. I think the meeting took place in Niger, but because it's not politically being driven, technical people meet, they talk, and then implementation becomes a challenge. But it's something that can be looked at.
Yes, thanks very much, Stephen. Our same question about what are the focus areas for the next 1, 2, or even 3 years, as Stephen mentioned.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibrahim, for that question. 2 years, next 2 years, 3 years, and beyond. In Nigeria, within the nuclear space, too many activities are envisaged, which are fundamentally of critical importance to the progress of our nuclear program, particularly the nuclear power aspect. One key element that was discussed during the last meeting of the Nigerian Integrated Work Plan team with the IAEA was hinged around the need to have an owner-operator. Just like Dr. Iyamoa mentioned, Ghana's own is already on ground. Nigeria is already discussing on the possibility of ensuring that we have this all-important body within the shortest possible time. So within the next 1, 2 years, as you rightly asked, we're going to focus our energy and attention to ensure that possibly within the year we have an owner-operator, because this is critical to the progress of whatever we do within the nuclear power space. Another very important element that we are also looking at within this period is the passage of our atomic energy bill. This has been lingering for a while. It has been submitted to government. We have worked on it, submitted to relevant agencies of government for review, and eventually sent to the National Assembly. So it's been looked at, and it also, for us, is an important element of activity that must be done with. If you may understand, what we currently use as the legal instrument for establishing the Nigeria Atomic Energy Commission, it's Act 46 of 1976. So I think too many things have happened in between. So we have worked on this new bill and have presented it to. That's one very important project that we are following up to ensure that within the next months or even 1-2 years, we have it passed, and then it's operational as an important legal instrument for the Commission. Again, we are also looking at, even though it's a continuous package and process, the aspect of manpower training and capacity development is also very critical for the Commission, who are retiring from the services of the various agencies of government. So there must be that deliberate plan and attempt to ensure that we generate the pool of manpower needed. Whatever structure you have on ground, if you don't have the needed manpower to push these elements and structures, then you also find it very difficult to progress within the nuclear space. So manpower development is critical. Yes, it's ongoing, but we also expect that apart from relying on bilateral and multilateral arrangements like our activities with the IAEA in terms of manpower training and capacity development, our partnership with through bilateral engagements with, for instance, the Russian Federation, China, South Korea, and the rest, is stepped up in a way that we increase the pool of professionals we send, so that at least we can have readily available manpower that will help us in pushing the program forward. So in the next 1-2 years, we're also trying to see the possibility of using internal resources, budgetary allocations to deploy professionals, knowing that a nuclear power program is a knowledge-based field, particularly because of the safety and security concerns. We want to ensure that we have a well-trained pool of resources, human resources that we can use to project and progress with our nuclear program. One activity again that we're looking at, yes, there are several activities, as I've said, is having a bankable feasibility study report. We need to really carry out this element. We have already commenced preliminary activities towards a bankable feasibility studies for our nuclear power program. We have done some level of bathymetric work, and then topographical and other related site activities, which will eventually lead to full-blown feasibility study. Again, we are also having implemented our integrated nuclear infrastructure review mission in 2015. We have requested for phase 2 of the INEA mission. Initially, it was meant to be in the last quarter of 2026, but I think discussions with the IAEA, it has been approved to now take place in the first quarter of 2027. So this also is a major activity that we're looking forward to within the context of our nuclear power program, to implement the phase 2 of the INEA mission. Just like I've said, it has already been approved by the IAEA, and preparations are going to start in earnest towards the implementation of this very important activity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Awal. And you just mentioned the energy side, but also for applications, you're working on gamma irradiation facility, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, for the non-power applications of nuclear science and technology, we're equally look which will keep and very, very
I believe we lost. Awal, can you hear us? We lost you.
At the moment has a
Hello, Awal. Yes, I think we lost Awal for some connection issues. So what we'll do is to move on to Amadou. Same question as previously. What are your main areas of focus during those coming years, 1, 2, 3 years?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can. So we will go back to Awal before we move on. Yes, we lost you for a couple of seconds.
Okay, sorry, the system.
No worries.
So for the gamma irradiation facility, we're already discussing with a number of international partners and the IAEA on the possibility of replenishing the source, and then of course addressing other key challenges that have actually hampered the progress of our activities around the gamma irradiation facility. We are equally discussing with funding for the revitalization of the facility to ensure that it becomes operational and it begins to support the food security agenda of the federal government. And we are receiving attention of government, particularly in the area of funding, as I've said, on how to get it operational and to ensure that it also begins to contribute to our food security agenda, which is a key agenda of the federal government at the moment. Apart from the gamma irradiation facility, we are equally discussing and working assiduously going forward. We hope in the next few years, we should be able to work around having a multi-purpose research reactor. Looking at the size of Nigeria, the population of Nigeria, and the current cancer burden, requiring the utilization of radioisotopes, medical radioisotopes, and even industrial radioisotopes for other industrial uses, it has become also compelling and important that we begin to generate nationally, even though we understand some hospitals are generating medical radioisotopes for their cancer management processes. We are also looking at the possibility of having a multi-purpose research reactor that would help in generating the required radioisotopes for both medical and industrial uses. So it's a major project of the Commission. And as I've said, we are working assiduously to ensure that this comes on stream within the shortest possible time, even though the funding requirement is quite huge, but we are discussing with other international partners to see the possibility of these key projects coming into life and then benefiting Nigerians. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Awal. So moving on to Amadou.
Okay, thank you, Ibrahim. I will be very, very brief because, as I said at the beginning, we are newcomer countries and a very, very young established energy atomic agency just last December. But as you all know, we already some months back we signed some MOU with Rosatom, and we are still discussing with Rosatom, and we just got a technical cooperation project with IAEA. We start in this December, where a lot of activities in phase 1 countries are planned. And so we are still discussing with agency, and in the next coming 3 months, we will be able to have a clear vision to where we are moving. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Amadou. We have Dr. Zainabou who want to speak. Can the team please allow her to give her the opportunity to speak?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
I mean the technical team, the one dealing with the Zoom. Can they allow her to give her the mic, allow her to speak? I think it seems that they haven't done it yet. So we'll continue while to not stop the rhythm while they would try to make the mic available for Dr. Zainabou. So moving back to Awal. So Awal, same question that we asked Stephen. Which technology you are open to both, right? But which technology you think are more suitable for Nigeria? Because taking into account Nigeria's very large population.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Like I earlier mentioned, when we started, the initial plan was for us to go for the conventional large reactors. But looking at the speed of evolution of small modular reactors and even micro reactors, Nigeria is also looking that way. Even though it's an issue that we are discussing already, but there is no clear government policy on the small modular reactor technology. But yes, as a commission, we've been pursuing and working assiduously for the big reactors, the conventional nuclear power plants. But just like I mentioned, with the trend and progress we're seeing in the development of small modular reactors, and the fact that Nigeria cannot close its windows from this very important development that has been supported globally and even by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Nigeria is participating in the small modular reactor, a number of small modular reactor projects of the IAEA, so that we can have an informed team when it comes to final decision as a country. But yes, we are considering the big power plant, but we are also knowing the small modular reactors in Nigeria. So that's more like a national decision that has to be taken. But as a commission, we are open to both technologies, and we are also looking at all the technologies to ensure that we are not shortchanged in any way when it comes to deployment. Thank you very much.
Well noted, with thanks. So basically, to recap, you are open to both technologies, and then a decision will be taken afterward. But for the moment, you are open to both and exploring both. So Dr. Zainabou join us. Dr. Zainabou is the president of HANEA from Niger. So she wanted to share her perspective. Hi, Dr. Zainabou.
Ibrahim, how are you? Good.
Good. How are you doing?
Thanks to you for organizing this panel, and thanks to all the panelists for the presentations and the nice comments and the information provided.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump in regarding the West African group that was created some time ago for integrated nuclear power program. So yes, at some point, just when I want to recall that at some point the agency and UNIDO, they have conducted a study on the electricity needs in ECOWAS region. And then the study concluded that there is a need of 8 nuclear reactors of 10,000 megawatts to be included as 10% of electricity demand by 2030 or 2035 in the region. I don't recall exactly the year, but it's around this. So the WAP, West African Power Pool, was supposed to be developed to align to this. And then the 3 programs, Nigeria, Ghana, and Niger, were supposed to work in the same vein. So a meeting took place in, I don't know, it's Kenya or Tanzania, organized by the agency, where they encourage countries to consider regional programs. So this is where this West African Group for Integrated Nuclear Power Program was created. And as he said, a meeting took place in Niger. It was not, it is not because it was not politically supported. No, it was politically supported, as many ministers of energy even signed MOUs. So the issue, even if we can still say it's political, the issue came from the changes. You have many countries, elections, complete change of government, and you have some coming in who they do not consider anymore, or they do not approve the nuclear power, and sometimes it's coup, and then they change people. When people change, then everything, so it's somehow political, but it was politically driven at the beginning. So this is, we even have participation of international companies. This is where I met Edlo for the first time. I saw him in Morocco with you. So just to give some to give more clarification regarding this point. So yes, I think as a African nuclear business, it's still possible to consider having some kind of regional action, because we all need neighbor countries for this nuclear power. So yes, I think it can be something that you consider to discuss at some point, so that people can think about it, and maybe we can agree on something much more formally. My second point is just to tell you again to harmonize the classification of the countries, the implementation of nuclear power program, to harmonize with the agency, because we are all following the milestone approach. If you see the African map you presented and the one presented by Michael, and the information, it's not the same thing. So maybe it's good to have the same information everywhere. And this is just a recommendation from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zainabu, and I agree that basically those two I would say maps are not similar, but basically what we try to do in our tiers, it's basically it's on the latest development. So that's why we keep updating the tiers every year. So, and if there is a lot of development, sometimes we change it and update it every 6 months. So that's why it's kind of different than the IEA. And also I agree. So both you and Dr. Yamoa were right. So basically, yes, it is political changes that didn't make the pool work. But at the same time, you're right. At the beginning, it was driven by politician and by political will. It's just that many things happens in the meantime, and that's why there is that pool didn't work or didn't achieve what it was supposed to do. So thank you very much for your contribution, Dr. Zainabou. Moving back to our panelists, we are getting close to the end of the session, so I will ask both panelists that are still with us to give their, and also Michael to give final words, closing words before we close the session. So maybe we start with Awal.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much again for the opportunity. We've looked at a number of issues, not exhaustively, but at least we've pointed out key issues. One critical issue I want to mention as a closing note is the critical importance of human capacity development for the continent. You know, for several years, we have relied heavily on international support, particularly within the framework of our different cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency, bilateral arrangements with different countries. And we believe that such an arrangement is not sustainable, where you rely for the training of the pool of human resource you need to run your nuclear programs. You rely heavily on external support. And I think it has come to a point where we also begin to look inwards. How can we utilize the various universities we have across the African region to generate the pool of resources we need to support our various nuclear programs? Because when you look at it critically, you find out that most times you have at a point 10 persons, 15 on training programs across the globe. As you are training them, some of the others within the system are retiring, and you are just replacing. They are retiring, you are replacing. So I think looking at the posture of the IAEA, which has made several attempts to bring vice chancellors of universities from Africa to Vienna to discuss Vienna and some other countries across the continent, to discuss the possibility of mounting different programs and activities that will help us in generating the manpower needed for our various countries. I think we need to work closely with one another as countries to determine, maybe for West Africa, South Africa, East Africa, different parts of Africa, to begin to work together to generate the pool of resources that are needed to support the continent in successful implementation of nuclear power. I think it's critical. And again, we need to draw the attention of AFCON, the African Commission on Nuclear Energy, to its responsibility in supporting this initiative, where we can have the pool of resources we need developed within the internet, and then, of course, using shared institutions and platforms. So I want to thank you again for the opportunity, and then wish us all the best as we continue to aspire to deploy nuclear technology for various power and non-power applications in our different countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Awal.
And then, of course, to announce, just like you mentioned, that Nigeria will be hosting the next meeting of the nuclear business platform. The flyer is already on the screen, and countries are invited to send representations. It's going to be a conference and exhibition, and this is the 5th edition. So countries are required to actually send their nominations through the Nuclear Business Platform Secretariat for consideration. But Nigeria, as I've said, is already planning, along with the Nuclear Business Platform team to ensure a successful program. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Awal. Moving on, Amadou, final words.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. So my final message here is to invite all partners, agency, and industry to join Burkina Faso from this crucial early stage of the development of our national energy, atomic nuclear energy program. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Michael, some final words?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ibrahim, and dear colleagues, for giving me the opportunity to be with you today. We welcome the possibility or the opportunity every time that we are invited to the meeting of the business platform to engage with colleagues from the region. We appreciate the progress that countries are making in the development of their nuclear power infrastructure. We also appreciate the level of cooperation that we have established with the embarking countries and being able to support their efforts as they build their capacities. We'll continue to work with you, including the countries that are interested to deploy the small modular reactors. The agency, as you all know, is a technical organization with a lot of expertise and experience from different regions in the use of this technology. I think with the nuclear renaissance that we are seeing more and more around the world today, Africa is not lagging behind. I think we are seeing more African countries today acknowledging the importance of this technology, not only to meet their energy demand, but also for their development. And we want to work together to see that in addition to South Africa and Egypt, more countries in the next few years, they can start to construct their first units so that our population, our economy can benefit from this technology in a very effective manner. So I thank you so much for this opportunity. I look forward to being with you in Nigeria during the next edition of the event that we will be together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We look forward to it. Thank you to all our panelists and our speakers for joining us today. So as we bring the session of AFNBP Light 2026 to a close, I'm struck by a single realization. Africa is no longer considering nuclear, as Michael mentioned, but it is Africa is scheduling it. It's working on it. It's not lagging behind anymore. So today's dialogue has moved past the if and the why, landing firmly on the how and when. We've heard about the critical 1 to 3 years focus areas from the regulatory framework maturation to the strategic deployment of SMRs and reactors and and securing of international partnership. I want to extend a profound thank you to our speakers, to Michael, to Awal, to Stephen, to Amadou, and also to Dr. Zainab who joined us. Your insights today haven't just filled a webinar, they've fueled a roadmap. You've showed us that while the physics of nuclear energy is universal, the spirit of its deployment in Africa is uniquely ours, bold, collaborative, and essential. We have heard clearly that while national pathways may differ, common foundation unite successful nuclear programs, strong institutions, skilled human resource, credible regulatory framework, public trust, sustained political commitment. We have also been reminded of the indispensable role of international cooperation, particularly the support and guidance and standards provided by the IAEA in ensuring that nuclear energy is developed safely, securely, and peacefully. So to all of our audience, this webinar was just the spark, but the furnace awaits in Nigeria. The conversation we start today regarding financing, policy infrastructure will reach their full critical mass at the 5th Africa Nuclear Business Platform Conference from the 22nd to the 23rd of April. If you find today's insight valuable, consider the Abuja Summit, the heavy to this light session, a place for deep dive networking, site-specific strategies, and the business deals that will power our cities for the next century. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time, and I look forward to seeing you soon in either Africa Nuclear Business Platform in Nigeria or in any other webinars we would do around the year. Thank you very much and have a great day. Bye, everyone.